Can you hear me?
Hey, Paolo, how are you? Yep,
Very
I
well,
can hear
mate.
you now.
Oh wait, hang on a second. I'm just going to jump over to the other page.
Yeah, no worries. I literally just clicked live as you sat down on the chair. But anyway, how are you? Good show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to some people who are listening, obviously a lot of people are coming over from the gig. But to those who will be listening after the fact, or who may not know you, how about could you introduce yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us what you
I
do.
can. How you doing? My name is Paolo, the mighty small Palomar and the Nightingale. How are you all? I'm a 21st century one-man band live loop artist from Essex in the United Kingdom. I basically multi-instrumentalist. I record and play my songs whilst I'm recording the parts. So I have two pedals. You can plug instruments in, and using my feet, I can record the instruments while I play them, and I build my songs in that way. But I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I do a bit of direction, I do a bit of writing, and I do a bit of this and everything else. So that's me.
I love the fact that 21st century one-man band is the best way to sum it up.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing looping specifically?
I started looping about it must have been near 10 years ago now.
Okay.
10, something
How
like
long?
that. Yeah.
How long did it take before you reached a certain confidence level or level? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it kind of. I still think that I'm learning competence level.
Okay.
It took me about 6 weeks because I wrote on the thing, so I kind of went, all right, can I write a song on this pedal? And then that kind of led to a different sort of way to write for a pedal rather than try and write a song or produce a song and then put it on the pedal. It was like the other way around. So it took me about 6 weeks to get my head around it. But then once I started adding things like bass guitar, and then I figured out I could get a digital drum set and add that in as well and record that, and my mind just started going crazy. And I haven't even got any drum and bass style or dance style technology in yet.
Yes. Oh, I like to hear that.
I'm really looking forward to it. I just haven't added it yet, but I think that's probably going to be the next thing I do once I get some stuff recorded acoustically. I reckon that's what's going to happen.
So the upcoming stuff you're planning on doing is you're planning on recording acoustic stuff?
Yeah, I've got a lot of songbooks which I've been waving around.
Yeah, I've seen the songbooks, and they span a lot, don't they?
There's a lot of these floating about, and some of them have got designs for film stuff in, which I know Jonathan will know about because you've seen some of these.
Oh, brilliant! Yes, I remember those. That's great.
Storyboarding and all that kind of shit.
The big plan for the live stuff.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. My list, who I'm gonna get. No, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Who I want to work with and stuff. So in there are loads of songs that I've written over the years that have had their moments when they've been played, and then you get to a point where you sort of go, okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to try and do something different. And you just don't record them, or they don't fit on an album. Not because they're not good enough, or they're just not for that album. So you, as writers, I think you accumulate loads of stuff that you think I'm going to use that, but I'll keep it there until I'm ready. I'll keep it here. I'll keep it there. So I have this collection of books which have in them collections of songs that I've written that I've never really recorded or produced out for a record. So I'm going to do those. That's where the idea came from. I'm in lockdown. I got 3 weeks off from having to do anything on a personal level. I'm working from home as well, so I will have to get back to that at some point. But it gives me the time to just go, oh, you know what? I'm going to do some things. We're going to have a go.
Yeah, of course.
And an acoustic album is something that I think I can. Well, I know I can do here in my little studio at the end of the universe. I don't require much other than a microphone and some well-rehearsed tunes. So, yeah, Matt, that's what I'm good. That's where the idea for that kind of came from. And I've been saying this since I met you. I've been saying this for years.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm going to do these acoustic songs. And then you get onto a set idea of an album, or an idea comes in. And you're like, oh, I want to do an album about this. Oh, cool, I'm going to do that. And then those songs, that little acoustic album, just sort of sits on the back burner.
Yes, of course. Do you think for this album you're going to have overarching theme, like a string to attach it all together? Or?
Yeah, I thought originally I was like, when I was reading through some of the songs, I was a bit like, these are all quite relevant lyrically. for what's going on. Sorry, I'm leaning around trying to find something. For what's going on right now. My seat just suddenly broke. And when I read through the lyrics, I'm like, actually, this is kind of this. I try and write things that are kind of what's the word? Can be taken in more than one way.
Of course.
And so therefore you can read it and go, oh, it means this, but it could also mean this, but it could also mean that. Ambiguous, is that the right word? Could mean this, could mean that, could mean this.
Yeah.
And then when I was listening back to the material, I was like, oh, this is cool shit. This actually would work for an album or collection. Because these lyrics are kind of tying into the time that we're living in now with what's going on, and not purposely. Some of these songs are like 10 years old. Some of them, of course, last week. But I thought, oh, that's
do you have a particular song in mind when you're saying this?
Good question. Do I have a particular song in mind?
Because my follow-up would just be, what's an example of a relevant topic? And
okay. Well, loads.
I'm sure there's plenty of relevant topics. I'm just asking specifics.
More kind of around. Usually, the songs that funnily enough, the songs that get left off of albums when you're doing like a concept-y thing tend to be like love songs or ballads, unless you kind of go into that idea of not just love songs, but slower tunes, gentler songs. Unless you write an album like that, because when you're doing stuff and looping things, it's bang, 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 and
of course.
Rock and
you can only have so much room for X amount of slowness.
Yeah. So on an album, you go, oh, we'll use this one or we'll do this one. And you don't want to drop the momentum of the album too much because it's kind of doing what it's doing. So a lot of them are kind of about love and loss and wanting to see someone again, ironically, or slowing down. A couple of songs that Swinks come to mind.
I love the idea of wanting to see someone again, especially in these times, because it like, you know, at first you're like, you know, any romantic interest, and then you're like, actually, just literally anyone.
Look at anyone. I want to someone who isn't. I love hanging with my family, but there's other members of my family, and be like, oh,
yeah, of course.
I have a beard on, high five, or whatever, high five someone, and that kind of shit. Yeah. So I played one of the songs tonight. And that was "Who Cares for You, Baby?"
Okay,
which is about a long kind of being in one place, like a long distance relationship, but not quite a relationship, but just the idea of thinking about someone you haven't seen in a while and being like, "Oh, who's caring for you right now, darling? Who's giving a shit?" You know. And the song actually starts with the lyric, "Wipe your tears, hang up the phone, put your feet up, and stick a record on," which is, you know, after a hard day, you come home, you just want someone to go, "Baby, sit down, put your feet up, I'll make us a drink. Put a record on, let's chill."
100%.
And that was the concept, right?
Yeah.
But it's told from the point of view of someone being in one place and someone being out somewhere else. So that one really sort of came home to me. And then there was a tune called "The Long Way Home," which I wrote a while ago, a bit Counting Crows-y.
Okay.
And you can do it kind of fast and jangly, you know, like Mr. Jones-esque. It's not Mr. Jones because there's a few more minors in there, but that kind of thing. If you're familiar with the Counting Crows, or you can do it a bit more acoustic and a bit more sort of cello and vocal and guitar, which is probably where I'll end up because I've got a mutual friend who I know is very good on cello. I'm hoping to get a few choice moments out of.
Very nice. That'll add some nice depth.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's basically about the last night of two people being together, and rather than walking the short way because it's the quickest, opting to go the long way, so they've got a little bit of time to talk about shit before they have to go their own way. So there's a lot of songs like that in there. And
I love
again,
that.
Thanks, man. There's you kind of just that sort of separation, but it's not forever kind of vibe, which I suddenly, when reading through some of these, I was like, shit. You know, that would work really, really well. And then there's.
So when did you write that?
That was written. You know, that must have been like 8-9 years ago. Maybe not as long. I don't know. Some songs I'll start and go, "That's a great verse." Yeah. 10 years will go by, and I'll find it in a book and go, "That was a great verse," and I'll write a course and finish the song.
That's
People
great.
Go, I read it last week, and they go, "That's amazing. The verse is incredible." And I'm thinking, yeah, the verse has been around for 10 years, but. So that kind of, you know, that hence why I keep books. If I had this on a computer, my luck with computers, hard drive would have broken or gone.
Oh my God,
I You know what I mean. I think you're.
I completely relate. Like I love my notebooks.
Like the physicality of the book is just awesome.
So would you say your songwriting process is very different, depending on the song and the time and the mood, or is there? It really is. I'm trying to get away from using the pedals too much to write. Now that I'm writing on acoustic guitar, making it a little bit more broken down. It doesn't have to be so built up. So the process is very different. I may loop up. I'll use the loop pedals to record my acoustic guitar. I'll record an idea so I can sit here listening to it over and over and over again. Yeah. And then sit down and write lyrics for it. That makes sense.
That sometimes works. But with me, I'm one of those kind of people who will be sitting on the toilet somewhere, completely inaccessible to a fucking a pen or a paper or maybe not all paper, but a pen anyway. And the idea will come. Or I'll be in a crowded room somewhere with lots of people, obviously not at the moment, people talking, and it will just insist upon being at the forefront of my head, the lyric. And then I'm struggling to keep a hold of the conversation I'm having because it's this lyric's just got to stay.
That's the number one priority at that moment in time. Like, get it down.
Get it down, get it written. So those ideas, the ideas come to me at the most inopportune moments. A lyric, lyrics like it. It's like playing tennis or playing football or any endeavor. If you back away from writing lyrics, you have to go through the painful process of practicing writing lyrics. Yes. And sometimes you hit it bang on and you're like, wow, I still got it. And other times you're like, I just wrote 3 songs about utterly nothing, total shit. And I read them back and there's some nice lines, but I don't even know what that means. And you sort of put it on the sacrificial heap for later on. I will do that later on, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. Do you find that just no matter what the quality is, that just the fact that you're writing helps the flow? Yeah.
Hard to do that though, writing if you don't feel inspired. I don't.
I can relate to that. Yeah, I mean, like from a screenwriting perspective, I feel like that is similar. But you try not to force yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to, but at the same time, you're kind of like. 9 times out of 10. I mean, sometimes people will give me a topic, or I had to write a song about coffee once, and another song about a friend of mine who was a bit of a party animal, and it was relatively easy within those confines to write lyrics and write stuff. I found that quite easy. But then if I sat down and went, I'm going to write a song about the coronavirus, or I'm going to write a song about this, I'd be sitting here going, well, hang on a minute, what do I want to say about this? What perspective do I want? Do I, and it just gets, it's like I've picked the wrong fucking topic. Or if you go, I'm going to write a song about love. It's like, I'm going to write a song about love.
Yeah.
What the fuck about love? It's got to be about something.
Yeah, like narrow it down. I love that.
Yeah. Or take it out of its context and put it somewhere completely different. All right. I have a song called That's How Heroes Are Made, which is about 2 people who decide to, for whatever better way of putting it, decide to end their lives in like quite an explosive way. One of them religiously, the other one just enough of life, or at least dramatic perhaps. And the song builds telling like the story of why they want to do it, each verse. And then the third verse is the 2 of them coming together coincidentally, ironically, in the same place to do the same thing, albeit in 2 different ways. And they identify with one another what the other one's going to do. And in that moment, obviously, even through that chaotic identification, that kind of the idea of what something insane that they're going to do, they don't do it. They recognize that there's somebody else who feels the same as them, and that solidarity in their misery prevents it from happening. And that kind of so it's context of love, if you like. They find each other amidst the crowded square in some city miles away in the desert. And rather than blow themselves to kingdom come or take their life by jumping off a building or something, they actually see each other and boom, there you go, fall in love. So those kind of things, that for me is a concept to write for a story. So there I'd be sitting there going, I'll write a love song. And then I'll write a freaking story just so that I've got context for the love song.
I love that completely. I think that just makes it more, I think it makes it more genuine at the core, really. And I think, yeah,
understanding something at the core and being able to strip it down, like the story you told about love, about those people finding each other, like that at the core isn't necessarily about the story that unfolds, because there's multiple ways to tell that emotion, but the way you pick to tell that emotion, I think, is very special.
It's just different, and I think it's something when you know topics like love and romance and death and friendship and money, and you know they can be boring as us, and you have to find kind of new way to tell the story and to make it work. Yeah, that's how I do.
Yeah, of course. Would you say love is your favorite emotion to write about?
No, not particularly. Revenge.
You have a favorite emotion?
Is that an emotion? Revenge? No, that's a deed, isn't it? I don't really have a emotion. No. Anger was always very good fun to write about because you can, you know, obviously,
of course,
as you get older, you do less of that. So I don't know. No, not really. Topics come thick and fast. I think if anything, it's when ideas come, it's almost like, is this a song? Could this be a story or a novel or a film or a short story? Yeah, so I kind of wrestle with how I feel. Sometimes I can sit down and write a story, no problem at all. But then take that story and try and put it into a song. That takes longer. That's more of a challenge. And sometimes I can write a song and it tells a great story. But if I was going to write the story to it, I'm kind of I've already done it in like a neat, tidy sort of 3-verse stanza. So I don't bother doing that. So it's kind of ideas come and it's like, well, what would this suit? What shall I use this for?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. When you're writing a song, will it generally always have a story to it? Maybe not an in-depth one, but just a beginning, middle, end in that sense. That's bigger than just the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, I have a concept for an album that kind of tells the story through the songs throughout the whole album,
cool.
as opposed to just a sort of theme for an album.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, because it does that, I've just sort of put that in there. Maybe that's a film musical thing rather than an album. I don't know. So I haven't finished with that yet. But I like the idea and the concept of it. And then again, there's a whole idea that I have for a film that I'd love to shoot about a guy who has mental health issues and sees dead people when they play. And he sees these people on stage, and that high sort of emotional state that you get in when you're performing, these apparitions become apparent to him and kind of help him to do what he does. And he's a live lupus, so there's more sounds up on stage, there's more creativity around him, and these characters just kind of pop in and join him as though they're playing the parts. And it's all completely real to him, but it's not to anybody on the outside. And it helps him in some ways and it hinders in others. And I have a whole set of ideas song-wise for that. So it's really
very cool. I think I'd love to hear that, and how that can flesh out.
So to write the lyrics for that content, I felt I needed to write the story first. So I'm still chopping away the story, which is completely rubbish because I think if you put the song ideas like a 10-track album, and each one of them pointed the story, then it would probably make writing the story a damn sight easier.
Well, it's kind of like instead of looking at it as songs, looking at it like a story outline. Like it's very common in screenwriting to just have an outline before you write anything. But also, you still want to know what you're telling at the core, what the point of it is. And would you say, like, I understand what the story is, but why would you why do you want to tell that particular story?
The one I just said.
Yes, about the looping artist and the apparition.
A couple of reasons. I do like charity work for a couple of mental health organizations, Mind being one, and a few others I've done gigs for in the past. I don't work for the company, but I've done shows and charitable shows and stuff like that, and written songs about homelessness and mental health and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite interesting to me in that respect. And I think I just kind of wanted to shine a light on that. But also, it's an interesting topic to talk about because every madness is unique. Everyone's mind is unique. So it gave me a big palette with regards to how I want to paint the picture and the idea and where I want the story to go, and whether or not the hero comes out the other end successful, or whether the hero doesn't come out the other end at all, or whether whatever happens, it just gives you more paint for your palette, as it were, more of an opportunity, because you're dealing with something like mental illness. Don't have
of course.
and that enables me to create scenes and ideas and stories that can go off into the fantastic, and not feel like I have to anchor myself too rigidly to the story, if you know what I mean, or to some outcome. That's why I wanted to tell that story.
Yeah, of course. Do you see it more as a film or a series?
I don't know. I suppose you could go right in depth. I suppose it'd be a good series.
It sounds like it could be a very good series. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just as much. It could be a good film. It could be a good film. But series kind of gives me the opportunity. There are so many wonderful little unique, stupid moments in film and music and TV that most people are only now a little bit more aware of, with things like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. But even just on a general scale, when you're playing shows and doing music, or being a musician, or trying to get your music out there, being part of this crazy industry, there's so many funny quirks that I think people have tried something similar in the past, not based upon a tragedy, based upon comedy, because it is a comical industry to be involved in. But I think you can embrace it with a bit of comedy, comic tragedy, and all-out comedy as well, because there's just funny scenarios.
Yeah, 100%. I think all of those elements blend very well together.
So I look at it and go, well, okay, can I do that? Can I put an album around it as well? I wouldn't dare to think that you could put the story and the album together and create a musical at some later point. But it certainly has the potential to be written into a stage production.
That's very cool.
I always like those ideas, you know what I mean? If you can take a story and go, there's an album about the story, there's a film about it, there's a documentary about the roots of it, there's a theatre production, there's a fucking tea towel. Nice. No, but you know what I mean? You take an idea and you can kind of run with it in different directions.
I know exactly what you mean.
Works in all of it.
I think that's a good trait of good material if it's applicable to different mediums.
I agree. Excuse me, lighting my cigarette.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. It gives you something to do, right? It gives you somewhere to start. It's got to be applicable to different mediums. But anyhow, I transgress. I transgress. What were we talking about? Sorry. Yeah, so that would be a great album for me. I'd like to do that. Get that film album down and written. And,
of course. And regarding the acoustic album, so when are you hoping to have it done before this thing's over?
I've got I'm hoping to have it done. I mean, since we don't know how long this thing is going to last. That's kind of like too much leash for a guy like me.
Yeah.
Definitely go, we're going to finish it by the time Corona. It could be a year. It could be. Like November or October or something, which is probably realistically gives you plenty of time if I was going to do a whole album. But since this is going to be acoustic songs and it's going to be a question of repetition and taking the cuts that I really like.
Oh, have you made the decision on the song count already?
Not entirely, but that's something that I wanted to do with people as well. So if you're watching this and you're listening to me and Jonathan waffle on, thank you for joining us. But I did want to get people to, I'll do a poll and I'll record the songs and I'll put them up on my Facebook page, and hopefully people will listen and go, I like that one, and we'll just see which songs float to the top.
Of course.
And go from there. And like I say, it's about really stripped back, really simple, microphone in the room, vocal and guitar, and then maybe I'll add a few bits and pieces after those are done, depending on what the song takes. But that's the idea anyway.
Do you think you'll do 3 weeks?
I hope, but it ain't going to be 3 weeks.
That'd be great.
Hold me to that. But
well, we should make a music video for it as well. Like I would love to listen to the seriously, I would love to listen to the tracks that you are going to select, and maybe one of them we could put together a visual. I don't know how crazy it could be, because obviously isolation, but even if it's just pretty pictures of clouds or something, and if it fits the vibe, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely, absolutely, without a doubt. Well, here you go. We were saying you know, the limitations that are placed upon us and all these things, necessity breeds invention, right? So
Yes.
you're stuck where you are. You've got to use what you've got to use. That doesn't mean to say that you can't do something with quality. So yeah,
100%.
I think you just got to kind of go with what you can go. That's why I'm like, you know what, the acoustic album, no worries. I reckon I can get that really nice and get a good recording and we'll be fine. Any more than that, then yeah, you're sending stuff out to studios and waiting on people to try and get to their desks and that kind of stuff, and that could take a little bit longer. So
Yeah,
but definitely, absolutely, let's do something cool, you know. And anybody watching want to do a video, by all means, shout me, Facebook me,
Yeah, absolutely.
and have a go. You know, that'd be another thing as well. We can put them up on our channels and shout about that.
So do you think there's a definitive song that like represents what you want the acoustic album to be?
I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah.
I wanted the album to be, I've got a couple of names and ideas floating around. One of them has been floating around for ages, and that was Acoustic Earthquakes, which was the idea of something natural shaking things up.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Right? Which may still stick around. But then there's a song I'm working on called Atlas Shrugged. You know, Atlas, the dude carrying the earth. Which is also the title of a Ayn Rand book about something similar. And it seemed to sort of hit the note for me with regards to this collection of songs. How something so out of our control and seemingly insignificant, a shrug, spins the world on its axis and knocks us off balance just that few degrees and has massive implications. And that was the idea of it, you know, something. And that's why I like the idea of this acoustic album being acoustic, but then growing in its intensity as the album goes on.
That's really cool.
And that kind of, you know, those kind of things, because people so much these days, people write singles and release singles, and that's the thing to do, or EPs. So the art of writing an album is something that I always enjoyed, like reading a book.
Yeah, absolutely, because it is a book, isn't it?
Yeah, you can put so much into it, you know, artwork, lyricism, you can put so much in, and I like putting stuff in for people to find, and I hope that one day I'll be able to do that more and leave some interesting shit behind me.
Definitely.
Years later, and go, oh, fucking hell, look, there's a map reference or some shit, you know, I don't know. Just chucking that out there, you know? People are going to be scouring old albums going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you know. And that to me is important when you're writing shit.
100%.
Get some context.
An album is a journey, and it's a crafted thing.
It should be, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to bow out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Very much for catching up with us. Stay safe and sane. I like the look of your drinks cabinet behind you.
Oh yeah, that's all my housemates, but it's a nice collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't miss anything. Half of it's water now.
Nice one. I'm going to go and get myself a beer. And
good.
If you're watching, I'm going to probably go back online and do a few acoustic-y songs and put up some of these originals and ask people's opinion and see what they say.
Amazing. Paolo, it was great.
Dude, good to talk to you too, brother. Thank you. Stay sane. This has been awesome. Big shout out to Cylinder, the Cylinder Massive. And please share stuff over to my page so anybody watching this can find out more about what it is you do.
Yes, 100%. This will obviously be accessible immediately as soon as we end it. But it'll be available on podcast format on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts probably sometime next week.
Cool. And we'll pop up links and stuff like that where you can find my music and you can find Jonathan's films and interviews and TV shows and all that stuff as well. And join us. And please, as always, like pages, follow YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all this kind of stuff. Just connect.
Smash that like button.
Smash it. Smash it. Get it done. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for the interview, dude. Thank you for calling and for connecting.
Yes, thank you. Amazing. Good show. And can't wait to hear the encore.